Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials on any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
Okay, so today I'm going to start with our first session, and as part of to become a certified Kubernetes administrator. So because it's just the first class, we'll spend some time on understanding the Kubernetes. So yes, my name is Rajesh Kumar, and you can mail me uh, to my email address, which you have on my screen. So any questions if you have anything as such. So we are going to discuss about uh, okay, so just a second, hold on. I think
This conference will now be recorded.
yeah. So sorry about that. So yeah, it's the first session. So we're going to understand what is Kubernetes and why do we need it. These are the important questions which I'm going to discuss today. So yes, Kubernetes will bring health. Kubernetes will bring wealth and happiness for all of us. When we say health, then of course ops engineer, because they work 24 by 7 sometime, and sometime they've been called, you know, in odd hours also to see if there's issues in the production servers to make it up and running or solve the problem. But here, Kubernetes will help us in those scenarios from now onwards. Kubernetes will help to build a wealth also for the organization because saving lots of cost. Uh, lots of man hours can be avoided, can be saved through this tool. And of course, yep, everyone is happy. Will get happy because health and wealth. So of course, we will be getting happy. So the question is, okay, how Kubernetes can help you to get a good health, good wealth, and happiness. So for that, you need to understand what is Kubernetes. You need to understand how Kubernetes works, like a Kubernetes architecture. You need to understand. You need to work on to installing the Kubernetes. We have to work with the pod and deployment and many more things. So our first question is, what is Kubernetes? So if you want to understand what is Kubernetes, these four questions you have to answer yourself. First question is, where did it come from? What does it do? What does the name mean and why do we have it? And few other similar questions. So if you can answer these questions, you will understand what is Kubernetes. So yep, Kubernetes is born in Google. Yep, it's a Google product. It was Google product. And this got donated to CNCF in 2014 as part of open source initiative. Now those those of you who's not having any idea about CNCF, please do some little bit of studies also. CNCF is one of the largest organization, has so many products, mature product, and many products is in in pipeline. So it's one of the largest organization which govern the open source initiative and supported by all the major IT companies. So it's a good initiative. So you just check it out about them. Now, yeah, again, Kubernetes is written in Golang, of course, because from the Google. So Golang is a Google's language also. Again, if you want to download the source code, you can get it from the GitHub. The website is kubernetes.io. Slakes, meetups, groups are there. Yeah. So now the second question is, where did it come from? So if you look at this image here, we have a Borg, which is a proprietary product of the Google, and we have Omega also, which is again a proprietary product of the Google. So now question is, what is a Borg and Omega? This is another discussion, but for the in a short way, I must tell you here. Google's, you might have experienced so much of services you must be using every day. Google searches, Gmail, Google Workspaces, and many features you must be using every day and night. Do you know those services, they run, Google runs on the Borg with the help of Borg and Omega. You can imagine the services which is highly available, extremely fast, never be down, is managed by Borg or Omega, and that's a proprietary product of Borg, Google, on which they manage all of their services. So now, am I saying like, okay, Kubernetes of course free of cost? So am I saying like, okay, Google, the same feature which is a part of the Borg and Omega, you will get in the Kubernetes, and again it's become open source? No, I'm not saying it. So what's the relation between Borg and Omega and Kubernetes? So basically, DNA is matching with Borg and Omega. So yes, part of the features from the Borg and Omega has been there in the Kubernetes, but DNA is matching. It's not like you get a one copy of Borg or another copy of Omega. So it's a different product altogether. Now, why did Kubernetes is been donated to CNCF by Google? And many other questions you must be having in your mind. There's so much of discussions, we can have it, but not now. One of the major reasons, it could be a Google Cloud also, which they wanted to compete with AWS. So many other reasons are there, but yep, for in a simple way, if I put it, if I say Kubernetes is a kind of platform on which you can run such a vast applications and their services, which can be highly available with the minimal resources. Minimal engineers can manage such a large complex infrastructure and application services. And again, it's open source. So DNA is matching, not the functionality. You cannot compare. So we don't know entire feature of Borg and Omega because it's a proprietary one, but Kubernetes, we know that. In short, we call it KX. Now, in Greek, this is we call it helpsman. Now, what is the meaning of helpsman? So the helpsman, the stand this keyword stands for the person who steers a ship. Now, in which way we should understand? So let's understand this very simple way. Let's say the fishing boat, which is very small, right? Can be handled by one person, two person, or something like that. But you know that aircraft carrier, such a large aircraft carrier, or petroleum vessels, the size of 600 meters, 700 meters, such a large one. So no matter whether the fishing boat, which is a very small, or maybe aircraft carrier, all this size of ships is may be varying, but all these ships are controlled by only one person, and that's we call it helpsman. So what we are trying to say, what I'm trying to say here is, yes, your data center size maybe consist of one computer, one host. Your cluster size maybe consist of one host or 10,000 or 1,000 hosts. Kubernetes can manage it. Kubernetes is a helpsman for your data center where you run your applications. So that's the reason we call it Kubernetes. That's the definition of Kubernetes. Okay. So yes, irrespective of the size of your data center or cluster size, Kubernetes can manage it. Smallest one data center, one node cluster or 1,000 node cluster, Kubernetes can manage it. Okay. So yes, ultimately it's born in Google, donated to CNCF in 2014, open source, licensed with Apache 2.0. First release has happened in July 2015, written in Golang, and many other information which we have discussed. So now guys, the question is, what is Kubernetes? At least you get a little bit of idea about this. Any questions? Any doubts so far? Any questions? Any doubts?
Shri here, sir, this side. I'm audible.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry to join in very late. 15 minutes I got delayed. Uh, so, is there something I missed within this 15 minutes?
Nothing. We have just started this discussions and all, so nothing you have
Okay,
missed.
okay, thanks.
Again, you get the recordings at the end of it, so you can revisit those stuff.
Sure, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So now next question, after the what is Kubernetes, we should understand why do we need it. There's hundreds of tools, right? We cannot keep jump on that and start using it. There must be some reasons for it, right? Why do we need it? why we are using it. So there are two statements, which is a very important statement which we have is, and the first statement is containers bring scalability challenges. Now this is a very important statement, okay? And to understand that this statement, first of all you have to dive into the containers, and which is a part of the Docker, and I have shared one of the playlist with you also. I'm sure you might have gone through those stuff, and then um, if you know that what is a Docker and what is a container, that's anyways good. But you know, containers gives you so much of benefit, so much of advantages, okay? But when you bring that containers technology for the operations, when you scale the containers, then it also bring lots of challenges. That's a one of the problem, okay? So now one of the problem is containers bring scalability challenges, and second problem which we have is, like, remember, we run applications in a data center, and the data, when you say data center or cluster, it is not having one or two or three hosts, but we have a thousands of hosts. That means when I say thousands of hosts, means thousands of VMs could be, right? So thousands of VMs means thousands of CPU, thousands of RAM, and thousands of storage. Now if you know the containers technology carefully, the architecture of the Docker or containers, how it works, then you know that the Docker engine, no matter how many CPU, how many RAM, and how many storage you have added to that particular host where you are running a Docker engine believe, Docker engine assume all this CPU, all this RAM, and all this storage is a one compute unit. Docker consider those is the requirement, and accordingly they allocate the resources to the containers in terms of CPU, RAM, and storage. But the question is not, you are not running in one host, you are not running a container in one host anymore. You are running a container in hundreds of hosts, thousands of hosts. So we need some special tool which can view the whole data center, whole cluster, irrespective of the number of hosts added to it, should consider all the compute unit as a one compute unit, on the all the storage as a one storage unit. Do we have any tools which can do it? Because Docker can only manage one host, but do we have any tools which can manage a multiple host, and the multiple CPU, multiple RAM, multiple storage can be extracted and can be used as a one unit, one resources? Do we have it? So these are the true statement. Let's get into little bit of deep dive into that. Let's understand that. See here, Docker manages container. We all know that. Okay, I assume. So here you see Docker is installed, Docker engine is there, and you know that Docker engine has a two part of it, Docker client and Docker daemon. Okay, that's together we call it a Docker engine, and Docker engine manages your containers. Of course, they manage many other things as well. For example, data volumes, images, and networks as well. But right now, Docker manages containers. Okay, here again is a Docker architecture. I think most of you are familiar with it. Docker client, Docker host. We get the images from the registry, which is hub.docker.com, or any other private registries as well. And then containers runs. You see the Docker daemon manages so many containers. Okay, and containers come from what? Images. Images you can download, you have it in local, or you can download from the registry. So I'm sure you must be very comfortable with this image. Everyone? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now what is the problem then? Again, the same problem. Containers bring scalability challenges. See here, you cannot run all this container in one host. Now you must be thinking, why? I think you will find out and answer yourself. Why we cannot run all the container in one host? You can find it out offline. But the question for time being is, who would manage when you run so many containers in the multiple host? Because in the data center, when you run your applications for the large services, let's say thousands of users are there, then you cannot run only in one host. It has a limitation. You have to run in some other host. So now in this example, if you see that there are the 5 hosts, and each of these hosts you have a 3 containers running, So now understand that as per the Docker architecture, Docker manages the container. Mind it here. Docker manages a container. So a Docker which is installed in the one host can only manage the container of that particular host only. Who will manage the container of others? Do we have any tools who will manage the container of all the hosts from one centralized place? Who would manage multiple Docker hosts? Because Docker manages a container, but who will manage the multiple host? It could be one host, it could be two hosts, it could be 10 or 1,000 hosts. Who would do that? Docker has no capability as such. But when you bring the Docker technology, container technologies to the production operations, you need someone to manage the multiple Docker host. Correct? So that's one problem. So when you scale the containers across the host, then you get a challenges, and that too, how to manage those hosts. That's one of the problem. Did you understand, all of you? All of you?
I do.
Yes. Now guys, second, see here, again same scenarios, containers bring scalability challenges. Second question is, so this is only first problem. Who would manage multiple Docker host? There should be some tools. Docker has no capability. Now second problem. Now again, if you know that Docker and their behaviors, you know that, assume that there's one host and you are running two containers out in that, and both the containers belong to Apache. Now you know that Apache by default runs on 80 port. Now the question is, if you have a 4 host, 3 containers running in each of these hosts, and you have all the containers which consist of Apache, can you load balance all the container? Mind my statement, please. Can you load balance all the container of all the host to the load balancer? Because you know that if you cannot load balance all the containers, then you the end user cannot reach out to one of which, and then you'll not be able to serve the service. You know that load balancer, how it works. Those of you who are not familiar with the load balancer, please read in offline hours, and then you can get it. But the question is, can you load balance all the containers of all the host to that particular load balancer? Remember, each container is running on 80 port. Can a load balancer which is external access all the containers which is running on the host? What do you think? Anyone would like to suggest something here? How do you access the container from outside? Tell me. The question is very simple. Docker question. How do you access a container from outside? Tell me.
Port mapping.
Port mapping. So let me tell you here. Let's say you have a 2 containers only. Both the containers belongs to Apache. So one container you map to the host IP address at 80 port. Do you think other containers you can map to the 80 port?
No, we cannot.
No. So you know that load balancing will not work, right? Because load balance to work, you need a same port. Don't you think so?
Yes.
You look at this here. This scenario is very simple. Alpha container 8101 in host 1. Host 2, you have alpha 2. Port number is same. Again, alpha 3, alpha 4. So you cannot map that same port because host has only single IP address. So the question is very simple. Docker has no capability as such. So the question is very simple. How to load balance multiple container running with the same port in one host? That's a question. Because I cannot run one host, one computer. Because if I can run one host, one computer, the IP address will be unique, can be load balanced, but what's the use of using container? Because remember, we are using container to save the resources. When I say resources, CPU, RAM, storage, and portability. Many other reasons are there. So we cannot enjoy the container. We don't need a container technology in that case. So the problem here is how to load balance the multiple container, because Docker has no as such capability which can help us. So how to solve that problem? This is a second problem which you can think of. Is that clear, all of you?
Yes.
Guys, third problem which you have is, look at this. Very simple problem. And this is related to your health, by the way. Let's say 4 o'clock early morning, because of some problem. I don't know the problem. It could be anything, you know that. It could be hardware problem, it could be software problem, it could be application problem, it can be network problem, it could be security problem. The problem could be anything. Suddenly some of my server, part of my server is down. Part of my server is down. So now your infrastructure, whole applications were running on the 5 nodes. For if I'm referring this image, 5 node, and suddenly 2 of the nodes is down. It could be any reasons. So when you say 2 nodes is down, that means 6 container is down. That means 40% of your resources is down. So what would be the impact on the end user if 40% of your resources is down? Tell me, what would be the impact? Tell me.
Be slow.
Yes, of course it will be slow, and you know that there are so many research has happened. Most of the people stop using those services if it is if they find the services are slow. You will stop using, you stop buying, you stop doing the transactions. That's not good things. Now what they're going to do? L1, L2, L3 team is going to call the development and QA team or operations team. Okay, server is down. Please get up, come to the laptop. Let's fix it. Maybe it take hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, a day, 2 days. I don't know. But this is something which we don't want to do that, because the kind of server right now we are managing, it is a very difficult to be dependent on the human beings. Can it be auto healing? Can it be automatically the moment that the two hosts is gone, a few containers is gone, can we heal automatically, get a new host, replace with another container, or same number of hosts and add few more containers instead of 3, let's say 5 container each of the host. The service is the number of containers, required containers which we needed to sub all the request is done. Actual is matching with the desire. My desire was to run 15 containers at any given point of time. Can it be auto heal? Can be automatically created, rather than me getting a call and me getting to the laptop and then start trying to fix it as a team? Can we do that? So the question is very simple. We need 15 containers in this particular scenario. We need 15 containers at any time, but 2 nodes is down, and how do we auto heal? Remaining containers, we want to get it created automatically. Do we have these features with the Docker? No. Do we have features with the container? No. Auto healing features is not available. So the question is again, how can we get it? Where do we get it? Guys, are you understanding it? Again, I'm repeating one more thing. Question is very simple. Who would manage multiple Docker host? Who would manage how do you load balance the container, multiple container from the same host on the same port? Who would do the auto healing? Do you have answer with the Docker? No. Container has no as such capability. Container is good to run application in your laptop in a single host, but when it comes for scaling, it has a limitation. It has so many challenges. So are you understanding it, all of it? Guys, hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So guys, last statement what we have is we're starting to view the data center as a computers, as I said, right? Remember, just imagine how many CPU, how many RAM, how many storage you add to the one host. I repeat, one host. Docker engineers still believe it's a one compute unit. But when you bring the container technology to the data center, where you do not have one host, you have hundreds and thousands of hosts. Do we have one tool which can believe the whole CPU is one unit, whole RAM is just a one unit, whole storage is just a one unit, whole networking is just a one unit? Is there any way where we can ask that particular tool to believe a one unit? We are starting to view the data center as a computer, one unit. Is there any possibility with the Docker? No. Docker cannot manage multiple hosts. Mind it, Docker cannot manage multiple hosts. Docker can manage one host irrespective of the number of CPU, RAM, and storage. So how to solve that problem. And all this problem can be solved by Kubernetes. Yes, Kubernetes can solve the problem. So the question was, why do we need Kubernetes? We need Kubernetes because of it has a many problems.
Orchestration.
Orchestration, in short, orchestration. Kubernetes can manage multiple hosts. Docker cannot. Kubernetes can help you to load balance. Kubernetes implements such sort of networking protocol, which can help you to load balance the containers, but not directly containers, but through pod. Now the question is, what is a pod? I'm not going to confuse you right now. I will come back to that topic later. So yes, in short, Kubernetes will help you to load balance the container, multiple containers, same kind of container from the same host efficiently. How? We'll discuss a little bit later in networking session. Kubernetes can help you to do the auto healing. Yes. Remember, Kubernetes will not add, I repeat, please mind my statement. I'm not saying Kubernetes will add host automatically. But what I'm saying is Kubernetes will run those containers to match. Kubernetes will create a new containers through pod. Now, what is a pod? I'll come back to that. But Kubernetes will help you to match your desired state. Desired state means I want 15 containers at any given point of the time in my data center, in my cluster. Kubernetes will help you to match that number. So even if it is 14 or 13 or 12, immediately with a blink of eyes, it will match those. That's not your job. That's a Kubernetes job. Again, I'm repeating, not adding a host, but adding a containers. So now who will add a host? Any idea? Any idea how can we, let's say some of the host itself is got offline and it's not healthy, how can we add host automatically? Anyone have any idea about this?
You can recreate the host and use Kubernetes to join the cluster.
But that's a ways to get the adding the nodes to the cluster. But how can we get the new host?
I think it depends of the platform. If it's a cloud platform, you can deploy a new machine using.
But yeah, using.
I don't know, like in AWS, you can
Yes.
deploy automatically a machine as you want. As GCC as well, on premise is a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, so we can use here, simple thing, we can use a platform to add a nodes, as many nodes. How can we add it? Auto scaling group. Scaling, we can do the scaling, right? You might have, some of you might have used on AWS or GC or Azure to add number of hosts. If CPU is this much of it, remove this much of nodes. If CPU is this much of it, those are the things can be done through the cloud platform, right? But adding a containers, I need at any given point of the time 15 containers. I don't want 16, I don't want 14. Who can take care of this matching the desire with the actual? Kubernetes. So these are the things can be done. So we need a Kubernetes to manage a container where you want to scale a container beyond one host. In operation, in a simple word, we call it orchestration. Okay, so Kubernetes can do all these things. So now I believe what is Kubernetes and why do we need it? I think at a high level, it's understood. Do we have any questions?
Yes, Rajesh. Going back to the previous slide where 2 hosts are down and we only have 3 hosts, can Kubernetes communicate with the active hosts to increase the number of containers to make them 15?
Yes,
rather than
Kubernetes will add the number of containers to the existing active host. That's a capability of Kubernetes, right? So I was required 15 containers. Right now 2 node is down, so it become a 9. So I need a 6 more. So what they can do, Kubernetes can do 2 each one of these existing active hosts, they will add it. So 15 containers which you had desired, and in actual you get a 15. That's the job of Kubernetes. But adding a number of hosts depends on the CPU and RAM uses.
To watch our complete session, enroll for our premium membership. Click onto the join button and enroll yourself with the best suited option.
That's a work of cloud platform. It could be Google Cloud, it could be AWS, it could be GC, it could be Azure, it could be virtual VMware Cloud, anything. Oracle Cloud. That's a platform work. Are you getting it?
Yes. So now, like, if we have the auto scaling group enabled to make sure the number of hosts are equal to 5. So when couple of hosts go down, the auto scaling group will automatically bring up other servers.
Yes.
To keep the environment stable.
That's not a job of Kubernetes. That's a job of cloud platform.
Yes. So right now, like, we don't have the two instances coming up from the cloud. So we are only left with 3 instances which are active.
Yep.
So now Kubernetes will talk to the active hosts to deploy containers to make
remaining
it 15,
containers.
right?
Yeah. Kubernetes will, so whatever the limitation they have it, let's say 3 more host is there, they will replace with the 2. It's a simple random logic I'm applying right now. You see, there's a if and but is all the places is there. It's something like a custom scenario. I want the conditional ways to create and replace the pod and container. That's a different thing, but I'm not talking about those stuff. We'll get into the observability and then pod observability, and then we'll discuss. But right now, at any generic level, these other things can be done by Kubernetes. Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so now guys, let me tell you here, you have to change your mindset also. Okay, so what kind of mindset? So I think you must have you've been working with containers technology from last few years. Of course, it's more than 7 years it's been in the market. So of course you must be using containers a lot. So when you work with the containers, it's just like a pet's mindset. Like you are the owner of the pet. Okay. So owner of the pet, your pet is your container, and you are the owner of the pet. So what you do with your pet? You play with them, you feed them, right? You troubleshoot. I mean, if something goes wrong with the pet, you take care of your pet. You love them, and you do whatever you want. It's like that. You play with the container. You go inside a container. You come out of the container. You troubleshoot the container. You see the logs of the container. You create a container. You destroy the container. You do all this kind of stuff. But you have to change your mindset when you are getting into the Kubernetes session. Remember, you are in an operation side. So when you are in Kubernetes session, you have to act like you are the business owner of the cattle business. So here, let's say you are having an objective. You have a objective to deliver, let's say 100 liters of milk every day. That's your objective. You don't care which cattle is performing well, and you don't care which cattle is not performing well. You only care at any cost, every day I have to deliver to my client 100 liters of milk. It should not be 99 liters, or it should not be 101 liters. 100 liters. That's what your client is expecting from you. You are the owner of the cattle. So now let's say, because of some reason, some of the cattle, mind it here, I said because of some reason, some of the cattle, some of the host is down, some of the cattle is down. So what do you think? Are you going to tell to your client, wait for tomorrow, day after tomorrow, my cattle is not okay, let me heal them, and then we'll deliver the 100 liters of milk? Are you going to say like that? Let me tell you in a simple way. Your google.com is not accessible because of some reason. So if Google will tell you, wait for 12 hours, let's say your Gmail, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your HDFC Bank or ICICI Bank is not accessible, and they'll tell you wait for 12 hours, 24 hours or something like that, are you going to consider to use those services again and again? Because it's not reliable. So you have to change your mindset. When you're in a Kubernetes business, your ultimate objective is to serve 100 liters of milk, or the number of containers which you are running in your cluster. If it is getting down, you are not going to emotionally attach to the cattle and saying that, wait, I'm going to fix the cattle first and then I would come back to your delivery. No, immediately you will replace the cattle with a working functional cattle, and you will only care about the 100 liters of milk which you have to deliver. So same way, when you're in Kubernetes, let's say some of your nodes is not working, no problem. I will not bother. Some of the containers and some of the pods are not working. I will not bother, no problem. Immediately, with the blink of eyes, replacement should be done. And who will take care of it? Kubernetes. So Kubernetes is an orchestration tool, can help you to do all this stuff. And that's the reason you have to come out of this mindset of pets business. Okay, so you have to become an owner, or you have to have a mindset of just like a business, cattle business owner. Are you understanding it? My point of view, guys.
I
Yes, sir.
do.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes. So yep, when you are learning Kubernetes, main objective to run thousands of containers in a cluster. If some containers are not working, no problem. I'm not going to fix them. That's not my work. That's a developer's work. I'm not going to troubleshoot them. Just replace them. Replace with a new containers to make sure the actual number of container must match with the desired number of container, and that's the work will be done by Kubernetes. So have a mindset like that. Don't try to troubleshoot. The moment of the amount of time you will spend to troubleshoot, 100, I mean less than 100, by that time you will get that new containers, new pods replace and serving to the request. So that's the thing. So now the question is, what is a Kubernetes? So guys, in short, we call it Kubernetes is a container orchestrator. Yes, it can orchestrate the container beyond the one host, two hosts, five hosts, 100 hosts, thousands of hosts. It can manage the container in a multiple machine. It can manage multiple hosts. That's the reason we call it a container orchestrator. But guys, Kubernetes is also a workload placement. What is a workload here? When we say workload, we always say container. That's where the application is running. Placement means, because in a Kubernetes cluster, you do not have one node, you have hundreds of nodes. Now the question is, who's going to take care of it? Which node, which container will run? How many container will be running in each node? Who's going to take care of it? Kubernetes, not you. Yes, you can influence that decision. You can, there's one component called scheduler. You can influence that decision to Kubernetes, but by default, I'm talking about the default features. Kubernetes job is to place the work. Place the work means place the container to the right node wherever the resources are available. When I say resources, means CPU, RAM, and storage. Okay. Now, what is next? Kubernetes also provide infrastructure abstraction. What does that mean? Means it just work. You don't need to know the complexity of the Kubernetes from outside, but it just work. It take care of your containers, it take care of your pods, it take care of all of your workloads, your applications, and it works out of this, all this complexity. You don't have to get into that. And Kubernetes will help you to maintain your desired state. Desired state means I want 100 containers, 100 pod to be running in my cluster. Just say that to the Kubernetes will take care of this desire at any cost. It will not be 99, it will not be 101, 100. So Kubernetes will help you to manage your desired state of your applications running in your cluster. Okay, so Kubernetes is having self-healing mechanism. Kubernetes provides self-healing mechanism. It can heal automatically. Kubernetes can help you to automatic rollback. Yes, roll back. Some of the release gone bad, no problem. Automatically we can roll back. It can auto scale also. From from 10 container, 10 pod, you can make it 10,000 container, 10,000 pod, or roll back also. And it can help you in the load balancing, which we have discussed. What are the benefit of Kubernetes? First of all, speed of deployment. How can you do that? So just imagine you want to deploy, I'll put it in this way. let's say I don't know, some of you are from USA, but we have in India, there's one website called Flipkart. Flipkart.com is one of the portal for buying and buying the stuff, electronic gadgets, clothes, and all stuff like that. So we have a big billion sales. So remember, let's say big billion sales is going to start at 12 p.m. Okay, so what you want, so remember, before 12 p.m. you have only thousands customer. I'm just giving you some rough idea, thousands customer, but suddenly at exactly at 12 p.m. you will get maybe 1 lakh customers. How can you deploy the new applications at the greater speed? Within a 2 to 3 minutes you can multiply the number of instances, a number of pods, number of containers. Speed of deployment, how can you do that? Within a second the new version should be updated. Within a second the number of instance can be automatically increased. How can you do that? Do we have any magic tool available which will do all this stuff on behalf of you? No scripting required, no some sort of automation required from done by you and maintaining those automation. No, nothing. Kubernetes will help you, but how it is can help you, the stuff we'll see in the demo part. But understand that speed of deployment. Another benefit which you have is ability to absorb changes quickly. When I say ability to absorb changes quickly, that means what I'm trying to say here, you have a v 1.1 and 1.2. So you want to deploy the new version without even having a single second of downtime. Yes, you want to upgrade your functionality or downgrade the functionality. How can you do that quickly and without much of the challenges? You've been doing this stuff. If you're in operation, some of you've been doing this stuff from last so many years. You know that so many war rooms is being created, so many meetings happen, so many follow-ups happen, so many checklists we follow, so many things we do that to upgrade or downgrade any software. So every team is standing and waiting for that success message. It takes so much of time, but with the Kubernetes just a matter of few seconds. Nothing is required, just to tell I want to upgrade this 1.1 image to 1.2 and automatically it will be done. You don't have to worry about it. No fight needed. No much of the stuff is needed. So that's the power of Kubernetes, ability to absorb change quickly, and it can help you to recover. Recover means roll back. Let's say some of the release has gone bad. I want to roll back within a second. How can you do that? Kubernetes. And hide the complexity in the cluster. So these are the benefit of using Kubernetes. So yes, there are some more benefits which we have, including storage orchestration. It can orchestrate the storage for the multi-node cluster and then help to make this as a one storage, one unit. It can help you to manage your secrets and configuration management also. It can help you for automatic pin packing. It can be self-healing. We've been talking about it. Automatic rollouts and rollback, and service discovery and load balancing. Means discover the new pods automatically and add to the load balancer and load balancing and many other features. So these are some of the benefit which we have of using Kubernetes. So yes, Kubernetes will help you to enhance your productivity. Kubernetes will help you to deploy deployments faster and simpler. Kubernetes will help you to avoid the overhead. It will minimize, lower the overhead. It will help you to improve the security also. It can help you to improve the portability also. Portability means you want to transfer the entire data center from the AWS to Google Cloud, or Google Cloud to Azure, or Azure to something else. Within a few hours, entire things you can migrate with the help of Kubernetes. And immutability. So these are some of the benefits of using Kubernetes. With that, guys, Kubernetes is moving very fast. The best way to know the Kubernetes is to be with a Kubernetes every day, every week, every time. So you always be updated with the new things in a Kubernetes. And with that, now we have to get into the new topic, which is called Kubernetes architecture. So what we have understood so far, we have understood what is Kubernetes, why do we need it, Why do we need it? What is the benefit what Kubernetes is giving to us? These are the things which we got to know. But the question is how this Kubernetes can give so much of benefit. It's giving a health and happiness, wealth. How can it, how it's working? We need to know. We need to know how Kubernetes works. We need to know what is a Kubernetes architecture. And that's the next topic which we have. So as part of the next topic, we are going to learn how Kubernetes works, which includes Kubernetes master, Kubernetes worker, Kubernetes masters component, Kubernetes worker component, and how can we control masters, how human can control masters, or how masters can control all the worker nodes and many more things, but in the another session. So guys, any questions so far?
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.